With that, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly meltdown. Every time. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns recap of the shit show that has been the Star Wars saga, episodes 7, 8, 9. Yes, I love it. Here with us tonight, I'll let Allison introduce the esteemed panel that we have tonight. Go ahead, Allison.
Hello, I'm Allison, and my Star Wars name is Kel Aliso Afetsima. And in case you're wondering, I'm Princess Leia. But anyway, General Leia Organa. Or this is just the Princess Leia days, you know. But anyway.
Times were simpler.
That's right. Times were simpler then, like really made sense. Unlike now, but we'll get to that. My level of Star Wars is, I was 3 months old when the first one came out. My brother was 5 years old. I followed him everywhere. Everything was Star Wars because I idolized my brother. In 1981, I got a cat, my first kitten. Her name was Princess Leia. God rest her soul, in 1997. So I know the movies. I'm a Carrie Fisher, and okay, I thought Dix disappeared again. Anyway, so Carrie Fisher's my hero. As I grew up, she was my person. She was like my soul animal. Like seriously, I don't even get me started. But I don't know the books. I don't know all the crazy stuff. And spoiler alert, we're going to talk about everything in the movie. So get out and then come back. But let's just be honest. Who hasn't seen it yet? I mean, come on, we're going on January 9th here. It's been out for 3 weeks.
I mean, they might have been seeing Cats instead. I hear that that's a little bit better of a movie than Star Wars was.
I feel like we should all go. I feel like we should all go see Cats and then review it.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get stoned as hell before I go.
Yeah, I think that's the move.
Okay, I was trying to talk about this with my siblings. Is it better to smoke before you go, or like?
I think the move is to take some edibles, like
take an edible like right before like the movie.
Well, I read a BuzzFeed article about people who did that, and they were terrified about how they had a panic attack with a vomit in the bathroom because she couldn't make it through. So
I just imagine that's what Allison and Deb's houses are like 24/7. Is just
panic attacks.
Cats just like licking things and being horny all the time.
Not horny, they're fixed. Finley has nudicles. She went. Finley's got big balls.
Did it work?
It did.
Yes.
So
I can see when it's going to happen. So I'm just going to do that every time.
Okay.
Perfect.
She's like Thriller. Okay. Tyler, tell us about you and your name.
Yeah. So my name is Layo Tai of Marijuana. It's a wonderful green planet where everybody feels great. Super artistic, super focused, really in tune with music all the time. And my level of Star Wars love and knowledge is a lot more of a casual fan. I'm definitely not as knee deep in like the Star Wars universe as I think you and Beth and Kyle are. And so I have a little bit more love for these last 3 movies than I think like the average super fan does. Do I have some problems with this last movie? Of course. Did I think the kiss was terrible? Of course. But I think that there's some redeeming things to this movie that I'm excited to argue with you guys about and eventually be proven wrong about. I know I'm outclassed here with knowledge.
It's gonna happen.
Star Wars, and so I put Allison in her place every week for Survivor and Big Brother shows. So I think it's time for the roles to be.
I'm sorry, what's Big Brother?
It's a pretty shitty show these days.
Yeah, that was it.
Don't kill me.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Next, we have Dix, who apparently on her planet it's still Christmas.
Nope, over here. It's a Christmas planet. It's always Christmas. But yes, I am Dix Bet of Venlafaxine. What's up? My knowledge is I've seen the movies. And I've seen a couple of the other movies. And I haven't even watched Mandalorian yet. So I am not. I know.
I haven't watched it yet either.
I really want to. So here's my problem. I went and I redeemed my little 1 year free trial of Disney Plus, but I did it on my friend's computer, and guess whose account now has 2 things attached to it is my friend and not me. I have 0 accounts that are free for Disney Plus.
Excuses.
No, there's an excuse. So I'm here for the fun. I'm here to provide what we would like to call the casual fan.
We are always on the same page, Beth.
I swear to God, it's actually. I was thinking, oh wow, Allison and I were like, okay, it's gonna be girls versus guys here, and I'm like,
nope.
And I said, this is not the help you were looking for.
Yeah. We're more like a X alignment.
We're the X-Men.
I think my favorite part of the last movie was when Denise Stapley won. Oh wait, no. I'm getting everything mixed up. So but no, that's just basically where I'm going to be. And as everyone has already probably seen, my internet has been going in and out. They're still working on it. So if I get frozen like Han Solo, then just enjoy it for the many moments will happen.
Yes.
And we have a new addition. We have Kyle.
Sneak kill taxi, which is a great place to live. Love it. I am not evidently a casual Star Wars fan. My dad showed me the original trilogy when I was little, so this is right before the episode 1 came out. And since then, I've gone on to collect all the Legos, all the Star Wars figures. I read most of the expanded universe, played all the video games. Fallen Order was really great, by the way. And I have a lot of knowledge about the universe. I've written Star Wars fan fiction. You can laugh at me if you want to, but I love Star Wars and think, in my opinion, to this day, there's actually Star Wars ornaments on my Christmas tree, which is also still up.
Thanks for visiting Ben Lefaxine.
I mean, it's a great place to visit. These new movies, we'll get to my less than positive thoughts about.
We have so much to cover.
Real quick before we get started, Kyle, do you have those other headphones that you said like go over your ears, like the gaming headphones? I think your mic is hitting your beard.
My mic is. Should I hold it? Is that better?
Yeah, that is better.
Okay.
We were just getting some feedback, but totally fine. Don't worry about it.
Kyle, he does this.
I am. I'm a control freak.
Type A.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So where do we want to get started? I mean, I'm happy to kick things off here. I want to talk about the character of Rey first and foremost. I think that's probably a really good, safe place to start. And I think universally, she's pretty well liked. I think people are, for the most part, pretty thumbs up on her. Maybe Kyle, Allison, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But of course, we had a lot of ambiguity with her backstory about where her parents came from, her lineage, all that stuff. She ended up being a bloodline for Palpatine. What did you guys think about that?
We went through The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and I am telling you, there were people convinced this girl was related to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kyle, you heard those, right?
She was a Kenobi, she was a Skywalker, she was a Solo, she was never
a Palpatine.
I thought she was a Solo.
See, here's the thing. The reason why we never thought that she was a Palpatine, because he freaking died in Return of the Jedi. Seriously, the guy was dead. He flew down the thingy and he was dead. He electrocuted himself with his force electricity.
And then the space station blew up.
And then it blew up. Not only that, the power of his own lightning did a number on Darth Vader in Jedi, and it killed him. So how this would survived that is I think, Kyle, we have discussed that this movie had plot holes big enough for the Death Star.
Both of them side by side driving through.
Both of them.
Yeah. So I had actually, I had actually heard a theory that, and apparently this is according to one of my good friends who's a Star Wars fanatic, and said this could be canon, that Palpatine was actually responsible for getting Anakin to fall in love and therefore like kind of was the reason, or something about like it's actually his force that created no, I'm sorry, not Anakin to fall in love. His mom, like his mom, and it was actually like Anakin's actually like a Palpatine kind of thing, and so that everything is all connected, which is why you have like the powers of good and bad and like all that kind of stuff are all like so connected within the Skywalker family, and that's why his thoughts were, I actually think that it's a quite popular, which I mean, I didn't really know, that they could actually all be interrelated within the Palpatine line, just not as directly as it turns out as Rey was. So I just didn't know if that is canon or not.
So there's this weird thing now because Disney bought everything, and so half of the books and games and stuff they recognize as canon, and like half they don't. So and I think this is still canon, Sidious's master Darth Plagueis was able to use the midichlorians to she got the thing to use the Force to create life. And so the idea is, I don't know if it was Plagueis or Palpatine, but they together, I think, or one of them used the Force to impregnate me. Like they didn't like.
That's it. Okay.
Like they used the Force to initiate life, and that's what created Anakin. So that's why there was the whole like immaculate conception thing, which was kind of dumb. Yeah. But that's the reason. So yeah, Anakin was technically a product of the dark side.
Yes.
From that purpose.
Gotcha.
And that's in the books and everything, right?
That was in the, I think it was called Plagueis, I think.
Okay.
Or something. So, I don't know if it's still canon or not.
Plagueis is pretty much Anakin Skywalker's dad.
Sort of. There was a theory for a while that Snoke was actually Plagueis because they look pretty similar. I mean, like Plagueis is a man with a really tall forehead, but like he's bald and gray, kind of like how Snoke looked. So that was a theory for a while, but then Rian Johnson came in, and that didn't really happen.
Rey is, for me, I think, a very good role model for young girls and young women. I think to see a strong, independent woman take the role as a Jedi, because if you were me, you're probably thinking, God, you're not. When I watched The Force Awakens, I thought it was Finn. I thought, okay, the first African-American since Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson. We're going to have this is going to be great. And then it turns out in The Force Awakens, he gets the shit beat out of him by Kylo Ren. And Rey gets that lightsaber and says, it's me. And that was a twist that I didn't even see coming. So that kind of set the whole tone. I just want to go on record now, and I have it in my notes. It kind of makes Finn's character, I'm sorry, to me, after this movie, 100% pointless. Yeah. Where was his arc? What was his place? There are so many things we're supposed to assume in this movie. So what the fuck was it he wanted to tell Rey all the time? Why was Poe dead set on it? Was it he trying to tell her, I'm Force sensitive, I can sense things? Okay, Kyle, go.
Sorry. So I'm gonna my entire crux of this is that I think Disney set themselves up for failure completely, and I think the majority of the problems with this trilogy was based on the fact that they spent $4 billion on Star Wars, went into making a trilogy without like a Bible of, okay, you're not making 3 movies, you're making a trilogy. Like look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They have 25 whatever movies that varying degrees of quality, but there's one continuous storyline the whole way through. Why can they do it with 3? Especially with a lore as rich as Star Wars. And I have I put blame a lot on Kathleen Kennedy and on, Bob Iger and on JJ and Ryan too, they didn't have a plan. Like JJ was going it somewhere, Ryan went like this, and then JJ tried to get it his back, close to the direction he was going. Personally, I love Rey and Poe and Finn. I think they're great characters, and I think that they really did an injustice to them. Finn was actually Force sensitive. What he was going to tell Rey was that he was Force sensitive, and he was sensing things. And that's why he didn't get himself killed by Kylo in the first one. So that's why it's like, okay, that would have been really great to see. J.J. Abrams loves his box of mysteries, which, Tyler, you like Lost, right?
I love Lost. I just finished a rewatch of it. So good. Okay.
You can stop talking now. That's fine.
I can't.
Like the whole thing where it's like he didn't know what he was doing. He said it's like I didn't know what I was doing and I was writing it. He had no idea. And you like to take a problem.
He literally said that.
What?
He literally said that.
No, he literally said that they didn't know what they were doing. They were making it up as they were going.
Imagine having that much money to not have any plan.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Well, that's essentially what happened with Game of Thrones. They basically admitted the same thing. All right, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But my last point, then I'll let someone else go, is like Rey. If you read the expanded, like the visual dictionary and all like this, the expanded the stuff about her, people don't like her. A lot of the fanboys don't like her because they call her a Mary Sue. So she can fly the Millennium Falcon. She can fly with the lightsaber. She's really tough. Like, why does she have all these skills? Well, if you look into the backstory that JJ never shows on screen because he doesn't like backstory, you figure out that she actually spent her time on Jakku watching old Rebellion and Imperial training videos and flying in a flight simulator in the AT-AT that she lived in. So she had the flight skills of Millennium Falcon because she's literally flown in a simulation of that ship, which is why she could fly it. So it's like, oh, so she's actually good for a reason. She's not just a Mary Sue. But
there are a lot of people like me who don't read the books and don't know these things. Right. So to us, it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, that's why I thought Disney was so irresponsible with how they handled this, because like Star Wars, like each of the trilogies have their problems. Don't get me wrong, the prequels have their share of issues. But their story was good if the dialogue and the acting and the direction was not. Like the bones of the story are strong. Something happens, there's consequences, there's decisions, and things happen in those movies. This one I think is the opposite, where there's a lot of really great effects and acting and dialogue, and those actors, bless them, really tried. Like they gave it their, especially Adam Driver and Daisy, really everything, but nothing happened. Literally nothing happened.
I just remember watching this, The Last Jedi, and being like, what was the point of this?
We're running out of gas for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's literally a side quest.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it felt like. I literally told my brother, I was like, I felt like The Last Jedi was like when you're playing Legend of Zelda and you're like, I'm going to go collect some chickens for a while instead of like going on to the next dungeon. Like it made no sense. Like that's what I felt like the whole second movie was.
Yes.
I walked out of The Force Awakens excited because The Force Awakens to me was a whole different vehicle. The freaking prequels, I can't even. Ewan McGregor's hot though, but I can't even.
Natalie
Portman's great. But the thing about it is we all got geared up. I waited in line. I was at the midnight showing of episode 1 and I lived through 1, 2, and 3. Episode 1 was the first Star Wars film my son saw in a movie theater. He was really young. And so after that dumpster fire, when The Force Awakens, we're like, oh my God, this is different. We've got Chewbacca back. And we had Chewbacca in episode 3, but so we've got the real Chewbacca. We've got Han Solo. We've got General Leia. We've got all of these characters. They're showing up. They're doing all this stuff, giving me chills. This is great. I'm so amped. I'm so ready for 8 and 9. Bring it on. Last Jedi comes out. I left that theater speechless. This one, I left the theater speechless. I was excited for both, but I felt especially
speechless in a bad way, right?
Well, listen, especially with The Last Jedi, I felt like there were so many loose ends that did not get tied. What is the point of Finn? What is his destiny? What happened to the Rose and Finn relationship? Where the fuck has Lando Calrissian been? In episode 7 and 8, all of this crap is going on, and he's freaking floating around on some nowhere sand planet in a freaking floating double wide trailer.
Star Wars Burning Man, obviously.
What?
It's Coachella.
What was that?
And apparently they confirmed, like Disney confirmed that who's the woman, like ended up being his long lost daughter. Like put that in the movie.
Actually, that was filmed and it was cut.
Why? It makes no
because they're not. Like, that's the thing. Like they had no plan. Disney's like, oh, Palpatine was planned to be the main bad guy from the get-go. Like, despite having 2 movies, with no hint of that, despite that not being in any of the visual dictionaries or the supporting material, and nowhere on the official online Star Wars Wiktionary, nowhere was Palpatine in any way, shape, or form coming back. He was dead and he was gone.
Palpatine is sitting there for 30 years at the fucking Crypt Keeper down there with these legions of people, little worship, but we don't even know what the fuck they are.
Wait, where did they come from?
Exactly.
Where did those ships come from? Where did the money and the resources and the crew and where did they come from?
He's laughing down there in his little crypt. He's sitting there going, I'm building this fleet that's got bomb, I'm going to blow up planets with my little ships. And you guys are over there building a little Death Star. It's so cute. What is this, the third one? Oops, whatever.
When I saw that in Force Awakens, I literally groaned. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Another Death Star? Like, ooh, it's a planet that can need a star. What? Like, I know. You go into Star Wars and you're like, okay, there's a suspension of disbelief. There's people flying around in spaceship. There's magic wizards with glowing swords and like force. Sure. But like some of the science, like the planet can eat the star and the star regenerates itself.
With the power of the sun. Is this fucking Superman? What's going on? Right? Superman gets his energy from the sun. So this gets, and you put it on a planet. It's around, what is it? What on a snow with overcast all the time? It don't make any damn sense.
No, but and they confirmed what that was in the last in the last thing, that planet was actually Ilum, which is where the Jedi used to get their lightsaber crystals, and the planet's core is made of kyber crystal, which is why it was that planet. But of course, no one ever tells you that, because why? Like, it used to be like in the prequels and the originals, like you would watch the movies and get the information, and all the extra stuff, the books, the games, whatever, was extra. You didn't need it to get the movies, but if you were like a nerd with a capital N, like I am, and I have nothing better to do with my time, you could dive into and spend hours reading books about space wizards.
But listen, my son loves these books, and he would tell you, yeah, I know this is this. Mm-hmm. But my argument is I don't read the books. Okay, I didn't watch A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi with books to go off of. Right. Lord knows I needed them for 1, 2, and 3, because what the fuck? Okay, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
But Ewan McGregor's hot. But here's the thing. And then we've got 7, 8, 9. Oh, but there's just cliff notes that you need to read. There's these little books that you need to follow. I'm not following the books. You need to explain shit to me. Snoke. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning of the movie. It starts with Ben Solo, whatever, Kylo Ren shows up at Exegol. He found his little pyramid. Holocron. He gets there. We see the Emperor. I'm kind of glad we saw him right away, because I wasn't about to wait. Okay, fuck that. Excuse my French, Lord Jesus. But so we get there. We find out Snoke is a clone, and that Palpatine's been pulling the strings. He's been every voice that's ever been in your head. Now, I will say that was a pretty cool moment. I got chills hearing Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, the man. Side note, I met James Earl Jones.
Really?
In Memphis, Tennessee, at the Peabody Hotel in the bookstore, because when I was 18, me and my little friends were such nerds. We would hang out in bookstores while all of our friends were like out doing like
bookstore.
We would hang out in bookstores in the library. Okay. I don't know how I got knocked up, but at 19. But anyway.
My problem.
Seriously. But anyway, he was there filming a movie, and I recognized him, and I immediately went up to him and I introduced myself. I said, and of course I'm 18. I loved your voice in the Star Wars movies, because that's the only damn thing I could think to say, not even thinking about Conan the Barbarian, that great fucking movie he was in. But anyway, so I go up to him and I say that. You know what he says to me? I wouldn't be surprised if you hear it again. 18 years old, I'm blown away. I think that man knew something there. But anyway, I don't even know where I was going. Oh, there she goes again. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
Well, I think Beth had a question for you, Allison.
This is for both of you. I'm just the little triangle hologram thing.
Yes.
Is that like an immunity idol that you got to like go find it?
Yeah. It's an immunity idol. There's only 2.
There's only 2, right?
There's only 2.
So, okay. if we
if there's only 2, then it's definitely not an idol these days.
there's
They're
like
super idols. You put them together.
so you can play them after the votes.
Yes.
You can play them after the vote.
Okay.
In
I'm
this
just trying to
metaphor,
break
who
it down.
is Jeff Probst? Is Jeff Probst Palpatine?
He
'Cause
is.
He keeps coming back from the dead.
After this last
Is this a Survivor joke?
Yes.
Is this why I'm not getting it?
Yes.
All
I'm
right.
not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Quick aside, just at the site, the talk of Jeff Probst. I've been watching some of the older seasons, and then I fast forwarded to season 39. Man, I thought he was like, oh wow, he's kept very well. No, he hasn't.
He is a
Botox.
Us
not
white
Botox.
people do not age gracefully. I'll just
Speak
say
for your
that.
damn self.
I'll speak for Kyle as well.
I age
want to
well.
point
I'm
out,
30. Do I look 30 to you? No.
I'm
Yes.
42, and look at me. I'm wearing a Princess Leia beanie.
that's true. Allison, you do look fantastic.
I
I want to point out this comment because they gave us a few bucks.
Oh,
Thank you. I don't think we've ever had that before, so thank you, Matt Deween. Kyle, yes or no? Worst Star Wars story since the Christmas special. What do you
Oh
think?
God, have y'all ever seen that?
I've heard about this.
Yeah. Probably. Like, I'm gonna package this whole trilogy as a yes because, like, there was no fucking story. All there was is J.J. Abrams saying, "Ooh, I'm gonna have this." J.J. Abrams remakes, like, he took Wrath of Khan, which is arguably the best of the Star Trek movies, and made Star Trek Into Darkness, which is basically Wrath of Khan but worse with more racism. And he took The New Hope and remade The Force Awakens, which is basically the same movie but worse, although admittedly with less racism than that one. And so there's not all of these ideas, like all these characters, and when you read the expanded universe, like Luke and Leia, Jesus, sorry, Han and Leia have a son named Jason Solo.
Oh God, could you imagine if Luke and Leia had a son?
Well, they all
That'd be a different movie.
I
They
know,
had
right?
a daughter. Her name's Ray.
Yeah. Anyway, Lannisters in space. Anyway, they had a son named Jason, who in the books, after years, ended up onto the dark side and became Darth Caedus. And his twin sister,
Darth what?
yeah, their son fell to the dark side and became a Sith Lord. His twin sister,
I thought you
Jaina
said
Solo,
Darth Penis.
who
That's
was
why I said what?
the Sword of the Jedi, she had to kill him because of some other prophecy or some shit. I've read that book in a minute. But like that, like all the themes of characters were sort of like weird half-assed versions of themselves in the books.
So sorry, I just found that comment funny. So I want to kick this conversation into light speed, turn this Death Star around.
Lightspeed skipping?
Yes, I am light speed skipping.
But we can't handle it that many times, Tyler.
So we have a special guest here with us today. I want to bring in the one and only Babu Frick.
Oh,
Hello, everybody.
yes, he was the best part of the movies. We agree. Can we move on, please?
Well, I just wanted to get a few questions. If you guys have any questions for Babu Frick, he's here with us for a few minutes, but he just wanted to pop in and say the droid is ready.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question that my mom asked me, which was, is that Baby Yoda?
What are you?
This is what Disney wanted to go viral, but then everybody hitched their wagon onto Baby Yoda instead. But Babu Frick is the true the kingdom of the whole trilogy, the my favorite character. He is amazing, and God bless his soul.
Okay, because I have a problem.
Oh boy.
Okay. Yeah. Hello. I have a problem. Listen. And this goes to the whole Babu Frick thing of, okay. So in order to find what's the little thing called again?
Well, okay, and this is called a Wayfinder, but it's actually a holocron, which is like a way more knowledge base.
So we got to find
the idol.
It's the diamond power of Vito.
So we got to, diamond power Vito. That's what we're calling.
Yeah.
So we got to find diamond power Vito. And they get the information, it gets in C-3PO's head, but C-3PO's like, well, I can translate anything, but I'm not programmed to I cannot speak Sith. Anakin Skywalker fucking built you. He was a Sith. Why can't you speak
He built him as
it?
a kid.
But still, how did he know that to block him from speaking Sith? I just spit everywhere. I have a list now. Sorry. But I'm just curious. I have so many issues. Like, there's so much that went on with that whole, there are so many side storylines, the whole Poe, Finn, Rey, going to that planet to get this I spit again, to get this shit out of C-3PO's head from Babadook, and we meet this completely irrelevant character played by Kerry Russell. Okay, it's a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, you know what Kerry Russell was? He was a fucking beard for Poe, because everyone and their mother wants Poe and Finn to be a couple, because there was so much sexual tension between them in the first two movies. Let them be gay. And I'm sorry, that one woman kissing at the end, that is not LGBTQ representation. That is
tokenism,
pandering to the queer community, and I will not have it.
I don't understand.
I'm a gay guy, and I really just don't care.
Good, listen.
Tyler,
I had an issue with her helmet.
Shut
Kerry
up.
Russell's helmet looked like warehouse stock left over from the Alien movies, and they just spray painted it gold.
You got a little
I'm
body
like, what
on.
the Exactly. That was my face. I'm like, what?
She was literally there to be like, look, Poe is heterosexual.
Hey, but she didn't kiss him at the end, which, you know, female empowerment, I guess, right?
Look,
we got an entirely different kiss. Rey would have been better off kissing Babu Frick.
I would have loved that. Also,
anyone should have kissed Babu Frick.
So I saw a tweet that sums up my thoughts perfectly. You know, at the end when she says, "I'm Rey Skywalker," I think she should have said, "I'm Rey Babu Frick." And then that's the end of the entire thing. Also, before that moment happened, like when the nice music was on Tatooine and I knew this was like the last scene, these little, like maybe they were like in high school, like next to me, they would not shut up. So I said to them, I was like, "Excuse me, can you guys please quiet down?" And I was expecting some lip back, but they shut up. And I felt very old, but very proud of myself. And I just enjoyed that very much. My mom was very proud of me.
You could hear a mouse fart in the theater I was in. Nobody was talking.
I'm just gonna say, I wish that what she had said was, "I'm Rey Jar Jar Binks," and then all of a sudden, Jar Jar comes like, "Lisa's back."
I would have thrown myself down the aisle.
Wearing this outfit.
Oh God! Why are we going? But you have to go back there. There were so many things that happened in this movie, and I feel like we're light speed skipping.
Well, let's talk about the ending really quick, because that's a very easy scene to break down. So first off, the vision of Luke and Leia killed me. Like, I actually died seeing it. That was cute. Like, that was a really nice thing. But Rey went to the place, to Tatooine, where Anakin was a slave and hated it, where Luke was a farmer and hated it, where Leia never went. She buried their lightsabers for no goddamn reason, made her own, which is kind of cool, out of her staff, and it's okay, whatever. But like, there was zero reason for her to go to Tatooine, to that place, or she probably, like, there's no explanation as to how she knew where it was, just so we can have the twin sons. Yes, it's Star Wars, it's iconic, I get it, sure, but like, that didn't make any sense. It
didn't. It's true. And I can't even make sense of it, because first of all, God bless Carrie Fisher. I love you, lady. But man, when they showed Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher together smiling, it looked like two people smiling at their kid. And I'm like, this is just fucked up. This is just so fucked up. This is like their child. And I'm pissed off at Luke Skywalker. I got to rant a minute. I'm pissed. First of all, when he shows up in the movie, what are you doing? Like, he looks like a retired 80s rock star. I didn't know what was going on with the hair. This guy, you can say Palpatine put all the thoughts in Ben Solo's head that turned him to the dark side. But Luke Skywalker needs to take a little responsibility, because that asshole was poking around in his head. In Ben's head when he was at Jedi camp, creeping around in his room at night. getting in his head, seeing things. He got scared. He pulled his lightsaber, and that was what shifted the tide to turn him to the dark side. And how does he handle it? He goes and hides on this little planet with weird ass thingies that he's drinking their fucking breast milk. The whole thing just blew my mind.
When they first read the script, Mark Hamill got a yes, Matt Twain, very on point for that sand. I hate sand. It's cold, irritating. Anyway, all right. I'm an actor. I'm not.
Are you? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. What was I saying? Last train of thought. Oh, Mark Hamill got a lot of flack because he went to Ray and is like, I hate what you did with this character. This is not Luke Skywalker at all. And he's like, now it's my job to bring this to life. And he did, but he hated the direction they're doing. Because that wasn't Luke. The decision they had him making with the backstory about that he would raise his lightsaber on his nephew would make no sense because Luke would never do that. And two, you tell me he abandoned his best friend and his sister, the only family he had left. Are you out of your fucking mind?
After he kind of fucked up their son a little bit.
Right?
Not judging.
The Han, Luke, and Leia are such an iconic trio. I mean, and you have Chewie and Lando and whatever too, but the three of them are so iconic. And then they made these new movies, and Luke, Han, and Leia were never on screen together again after now episode 6 because Han and Leia were together, but then they were estranged, apparently, even though Han was fucking obsessed with her, but that's fine. Luke had a Force vision with Leia in 8 before he died, and then Leia dies. Leia was a central part of the movie. Well, she wasn't. Don't lie to us. Come on. I loved seeing her, but she wasn't central part of the. They were never together. Yeah. All this great history and all the expanded source material, and they use none of that.
Is this your biggest problem with the this trio of movies, this trilogy? What they did to those three characters.
That's a big. I mean, the whole thing just feels like pointless fan service. I'm a Star Wars fan. If it's Star Wars, I'm going to eat it up. Sure, but
sure.
At some point, respect the fandom and be like, okay, we have these characters. You don't have to tell the same story. The prequels, for all their problems, told a very different story than the originals. And you could have done a really interesting story with this next generation of heroes. While you still had Mark Harrison and Carrie around, and Billy D as well to flesh out these older characters, but they didn't do that, and I don't understand why they didn't have a narrative. My biggest problem is there was no narrative that carried between, because Rian Johnson threw out JJ's notes for 8 and started from scratch, and Disney was like, okay, sure, do what you want. We don't have a plan. We don't care. We don't care. That's it. They don't.
Do we know what those plans were that were scrapped?
Amusement park tickets and merchandising and toys and books and whatever. They don't care. And that's the worst part. As a fan, they bought the franchise and then pissed away, the chances to do anything else.
The legacy of it all, the history of it. Absolutely. Yeah. Do we know what that plan was? Do we know what that plan was for the 8th one that they scrapped?
We don't know because again, they went into making 7 without a planned trilogy. There was no plan. JJ had notes, but there was no. There's supposed to be a different director for the 3rd one as well. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but he dropped out or they replaced him.
So just to break this down into language that Tyler and I can understand.
Sorry.
No. It sounds like what they did was they said, okay, cool, BB-17, there's going to be a twist every single week, but we don't know what those twists are going to be.
Yes.
So we're just going to
ready for a takeover.
Exactly.
Luke was very clearly a Palpatine stand-in.
Yeah.
There are all these Star Killer Base was in the desert. There's all these things that were echoes of the previous movies. Snow clearly was not a clone. He was set up to be somebody. Rey was set up to be somebody, not a Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
She was set up to be somebody. And then Rian Johnson, and I liked his point of anyone can be. You don't have to be somebody to be somebody. And that's great because Anakin was a slave. Luke was a nobody. Great message for Star Wars. But you can't have that message of anyone can be somebody. In the 8th movie, of a 9-part series about one very important family. Like, you want to make that a standalone Star Wars movie or another trilogy? I will watch that because he's a great filmmaker, but not in the middle of a movie about these very specific people.
Yeah, I mean, now that you guys were saying how like Finn's character was kind of irrelevant, maybe his story of like betraying the First Order and everything, maybe that should have been just like its own movie, kind of like how Rogue One was.
There was so much.
Rogue One's amazing.
Yeah,
I love Rogue
One. But like the story of what he like how he went against all of that probably could have been its own story and saving us a lot of like useless airtime.
There's so much interesting characters, and like I said, if you look into the back, and even like Poe, who I'm ignoring the fact that he was a spice runner, because in the previous canon before 9 came out, he was raised. His parents were rebel fighters. He was raised in the Resistance, which was the fuck is interesting, by the way. When you read, who are these people? Who's the Resistance? Who's the First Order? Where's the Republic? Where they all go? What happened? We don't know.
Also, he wears his mother's wedding ring around his neck. I think that isn't that a thing, because I think if a lot of people notice, he always has a necklace on and you can kind of see it under his shirt sticking out. That's his mother's wedding ring.
Yeah.
I want to
That's what I heard. So if I'm wrong, don't come at me.
I want to shift the conversation. Some people in the chat are talking about Kylo Ren. We haven't mentioned too much about his character yet. I think Adam Driver did the best job that he could. Yeah. Like Kyle said. I think Adam Driver is a very attractive man.
I love him.
He looks very good. Yeah. What do you guys think about Kylo Ren as a character, Adam Driver's performance, all of that stuff?
Okay, do you want me to go first, Kyle?
I talk too much.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. Here's the thing. I liked Kylo Ren. A lot of people didn't like Kylo Ren. When it was revealed in The Force Awakens that he was the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia, I loved finding it out that way. I think he was a torn... Adam Driver is an amazing face. And there are a lot of really nasty, mean, ugly people out there who like to talk about his face. I think he's a beautiful man. I really think just his face is by everything. But this man could act an entire movie with his face and not say a word, and you will understand every emotion. Coming from a former actor's point of view, that is a gift. And you could feel his struggle throughout all 3 films, in my opinion. And I think he may have had a closer relationship with his mother than he did his father. Because the way it all came full circle at the end of the movie, which we've got to talk about them going to the old Death Star, or I'm going to have a heart attack. But anyway, when he's fighting Rey on the Death Star, and Leia uses the last ounce of life that she has in her to reach her son. And that got me as a mother. Yeah. And he really, you could tell he kind of stops, and then Rey freaking sucker stabs him, that bitch. Anyway, so,
it's the Palpatine in her. Sorry.
Right. The Palpatine did freaking force heals him, and we'll get into that because I can't. And then Han Solo shows up and he does what he should have done the first time. Honey, I was ugly crying during that whole part. And his character finally became what he should have been all along. However, it didn't last. They killed him off. I'm angry about that. I mean, he brought Rey back to life, which we'll get into that full function, but I just feel like there was so much more that I want to know about Kylo Ren in a movie. I don't want to read a book. I'm sorry. I don't get into these books. I love that people read the books. I just don't have the books.
Yeah.
And for me, I grew up just watching the movies, playing with my Prince Leia Barbie dolls, doing my thing, playing with my cat Princess Leia, doing little Allison weird shit. And I wish they would have done more with his character. I really felt like there was a connection between him and Rey. And
he did kill his father.
But it split him. It killed him. You could see it at the beginning of The Last Jedi. That's what I'm saying about the face. Because even when he did that still wasn't good enough for Snoke. It's like, I killed my father. I did all of this stuff. And he goes, well, what are you? You're just a child behind a mask. And he tells him to take the ridiculous thing off. So he's in a mentally abusive, controlling relationship with Snoke.
Yeah, but he still did it. And even if, he can still redeem himself at the end by saving Rey and still have to pay the consequences for what he ultimately did.
True, they didn't have to kill him. I just have issues with how he died.
I
was about to pull my head off. Go ahead.
No, I think Kylo Ren as a character had a lot of potential. I think Adam Driver played him really well. I think he's given shit material. I think that like Anakin like raised as a slave, then put into an order where he's still calling people masters, and then like all his only attachment to his wife, like, and she died. And there was all this stuff that was going on. Like there was like a lot of you could kind of clumsily, but you could see his fall. Ben Solo was raised the daughter of the son of rebellion hero.
We don't see
the
gender
nephew
here.
of the Jedi master, like the Luke Skywalker. Like he was a golden boy. He had every chance in the world, and like I never understood like his struggle because I'm just like, oh, he just like, and they said in the like he was naturally drawn towards light, but he kept choosing the dark. Like he kept choosing to make himself more hateful and more evil and more dark, and that's what I don't understand. I was like, I don't know if people like him. Like Vader was a broken shell of a man and still died and still had to die because of all the shit that he did, whereas Ben Solo was not. He was a spoiled rich kid and kept actively choosing the darkest, most destructive paths. Like, he's a misunderstood kid. Bitch, he's 30 fucking years old. He's not a misunderstood kid. Like, he knows what he's doing. And even like in 8, like he's choosing the dark path. Like he was kind of set up at the end of 8 to be like the big bad guy. Right. He shouldn't die. He needed to die. Like honestly, like the fact that he got redeemed at all kind of pissed me off. I'm like, he was a shitty person who killed his father, nearly killed his mother, and like actively was choosing all the wrong paths. Why do we pity him? Like, I'm sorry, you want to see him and Rey banging. I get it. Okay, write a one-shot fanfic and masturbate to that, but don't do that for what we actually saw on screen, which was a guy who really was a dick.
And keep in mind, he thought that he was killing Luke as well in the last movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, I agree, Kyle, with everything you're saying. I just felt like for me, that emotional side, the empathetic side of me that is always forgiving, and I'm forgiving to a fault. I do believe in redemption. I've witnessed it firsthand in my life. So I feel like, yes, those things were wrong and they were really shitty. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to have a little bit more redemption. I wanted to see a little bit more of that. That's all I wanted. And I felt like if you're going to freaking kill him off, just kill him off. Don't throw a freaking kiss with Rey at the very end. Why? Why even go there?
Did anybody find Rey and Kylo Ren's connection sexual or romantic at all? I always thought that it was like a kindred spirit, almost sibling-like. Like that's what I was getting from it. Like they were trying to set up these two are somehow related. Like
I felt like there was sexual tension.
Oh, I never felt
it though in 8. I thought like I didn't feel it in 7 at all. And they're like, oh, he's shirtless and she's uncomfortable.
That's when I felt it.
I wasn't.
What I read into that was as uncomfortable you would be, like if you were related to somebody and they're just like, "Hey, what's up?" Like I'm gonna come to you in this like vision.
I'm not gonna look at Tyler that way with a shirt off. No offense, bro. Just like you're not gonna see my tits hanging out, going, "Oh,
I've seen it. It's nothing special."
Like I'm not going there. But we've got so much more to cover. There's just where
do you start?
There's nowhere because the fake out, the Chewie fake out death pissed me off.
Sorry.
No, that pissed me off. I was ready to walk out.
The Force
I started crying.
We need to talk about the Force heel.
The first time I saw that, I started crying. Because I thought, no, that is not how you are killing Chewbacca. He ain't going out like that.
Right. In the books, a moon fell on him.
Ooh.
I'd rather that happen than
It was
go
cool.
out
He saved Han's youngest son, Anakin, and
Yeah.
he sacrificed himself. And literally, a moon was crashing into the planet, and he died. It's a great death.
Well, and then
Wait, can we
when
talk
Leia,
about? Oh,
let me
sorry.
talk about one thing, and then listen. When Leia died
Mhm.
and Chewie fell to his knees, I lost it.
Yeah.
I lost it there. I
To
cried.
me was the real moment. That was my son was sitting next to me, and he took my arm and put his head on my shoulder, and it touched me, and we like had a moment. Kyle, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But jumping off of that, did you notice that when after Ben, even though they just kissed, when Ben died, Rey was like, no react. It's fine.
Thank you.
Just like I'm just gonna get on this old fucking TIE fighter.
Triad thing, which is they're connected in the Force and they can like communicate like telepathically and shit across like vast differences of space. Like he dies in her arms.
He died a Jedi.
And then she's like, put him down, and now I shall leave.
Yeah, I'm like, I get they tried to cram so much into this movie as you can, but I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm gonna go on a tangent that really pissed me off. So in 8, Princess Leia, General Leia, the Queen of the Galaxy, put out this call with her personal signal saying, "Come help us. We need people," and no one came.
Oh yeah.
And then in this movie,
I love the character. Don't get me wrong, but has been chilling at Space Burning Man for God knows how long.
Coachella.
10 minutes? An hour? I don't know. However long and half the fucking galaxy shows up? I'm sorry. It's Princess Goddamn Motherfucking Leia.
right.
He didn't get that distress call the first time. I don't believe it.
Mm.
I don't like that. Just there's just so many things that don't like. Where has he been this whole time? And the whole force healing thing. Palpatine explains in episode 2. God, fuck that guy. He ruined episode. Listen, my son was like 4 when that movie came out and loved Jar Jar Binks. I was in hell. He had the pajamas, the bed sheets, the toys. Anyway, hell.
The sun bomb bad.
Hell. But let's talk
like this for the rest of the interview. Okay,
let's talk about we have the Death Star and the Force healing. Let's get into the Force healing real quick. In episode 2, Palpatine is seducing Anakin Skywalker, and he talks about there was once a Sith or whatever. I can't remember. Forgive me.
Yeah.
A what?
It was Darth Plagueis, his master.
Darth Plagueis, who had abilities that some deemed unnatural, and that was the healing.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, did this evolve like man has evolved over time, as the Jedi evolved over time, and now the last 2 in Ben and Rey, they all of a sudden can do it, as where freaking Luke Skywalker couldn't have healed his fucking father when he was dying before the Death Star blew up? I mean, when did this start?
It didn't. There is no, like, outside of video games, which is different because it's like a video game and you like heal damage. Yeah. Outside of video games and like any of the books or other stories, there is not a single instance of force healing done in that. Now, Jedi can like meditate to help their bodies heal quicker. That's like, okay, but there's a really deep lightsaber burn, and instead of it taking 2 weeks to heal, it'll take like 3 or 4 days. But it was nothing like. It was never quick enough to be like, oh, I just stabbed with a lightsaber and now it's all gone. Like, we're not a fucking cleric from D&D. Like, this is not how this game works, people.
Here's a quick question. Did y'all think they went too close to I Am Iron Man scene when Rey's? Yes.
Yeah.
I will say when he goes, I am all the Sith. Well, I am all the Jedi.
Well, that made no fucking sense for another reason. Because, like, Palpatine tells her that all the Sith live in him.
And she's his offspring.
Which was weird, because then they would have lived in Vader, because Vader already killed him.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the hell, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And then Palpatine's shooting her with the lightning, and she's like, ugh, with the lightsabers, and the lightning rebounds upon him, and he's still frying himself as he's frying it. Like, I'm just like,
all of this was very Voldemort versus Harry Potter in the last scene, where he thinks he's still the owner of the Elder Wand, but he's not, because he killed the wrong owner of it, didn't switch. I mean, it was exactly that. That's exactly what I got from it. was okay, cool. They just ripped off Harry Potter.
But so apparently, there's a lot of leaks about this movie because a lot of people are not happy for various reasons. But apparently, like Samuel L. Jackson, McGregor, Hayden Christensen, all these people actually came and they filmed scenes in costume. So like what I think was supposed to happen was Rey was going to be surrounded by all these Jedi figures. It was supposed to be a very different ending. Then Disney got their hand in it.
Fucked it up.
Changed things.
They had filmed, like, I know for a fact Hayden Christensen did film some stuff. And I will say when she's laying there watching this fleet shooting, killing everybody, and she hears the voices, I got chills.
It was a cool moment.
That was a cool moment. But it's like, all the Jedi live in you now. That's fine. And she takes out Paul Palpatine, and he's done, and it kills her. Like, it literally kills her. And I don't know how Ben Solo, who got freaking force flown onto another planet by Palpatine, got back that fucking fast, limping and shit, and climbing up a mountain to save her.
JJ calls himself a Star Wars fan. I'm going to wave my bullshit flag as high as I fucking can because he has zero respect for the laws of canon that are established. Like the Jedi and the Sith have like specific powers and abilities, and you can like push them in certain ways. But like to heal, bring someone back from the dead, has never been a thing in Star Wars. Ever.
No.
To heal someone that never is. It's like, okay, you call yourself a fan, and then you're doing things that one of the characters wouldn't do, and that the material doesn't support them doing.
Okay, but Kyle, here's a new thing they introduced in episode 8. The whole, when they were forced dating or whatever the heck that was.
Forced dating.
And that's what forced dating is what I call it, because I don't know what else to call it. But, and then they were doing extreme forced dating because they were freaking fighting.
Yeah.
And she gave him Ben's, like, because at the end, he comes
the lightsaber thing,
and which was, I'm gonna be honest, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and he fought, and he even was like, that was freaking awesome. But when did that? It's like, when did this? Is Anakin rolling over in his grave right now going, I could have saved Padme. I could have done all this stuff.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
And that's the biggest thing is like, so one, showing Kylo bring her back from the dead, like Anakin's whole fall to the dark side because he thought his wife was going to die and he couldn't handle it because of how he lost his mother. So that invalidates. And
he could have brought his mother back.
A whole reason to be mad now. That invalidates Anakin's entire story arc in that one scene. 2, by another reason some invalidates because Palpatine didn't die. So Vader's sacrifice meant zilch. Didn't actually die. So J.J. Abrams, the Star Wars fan, has invalidated the main character, Anakin Skywalker, of the Star Wars, because Anakin is the main character.
Well, then also it invalidates the exact thing what he's trying to do, which is a redemption arc of Kylo Ren. Because if that is supposed to be a dark thing, then like he's not Ben Solo, he's using dark not magic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But he's using the dark side of the Force.
It cancels everything from my childhood.
Right.
Every MFing thing that I have known. Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be the one to bring balance to the Force. No, freaking Skywalker.
Wait, is the Force in balance?
To the Force. Nope, it's been Rey this whole time. So you're telling me I've been living a lie my entire life.
Well, also, the other thing that I had a question with having fucking Palpatine be alive was you sit there and you're like, isn't there always supposed to be like 2 Sith?
Ooh, that's the rule 2. So Darth Bane, who was an ancient Sith Lord, there used to be hundreds of Sith, hundreds of Jedi, and most of the Sith were killed in this like they would kill each other because they wanted power.
Right.
And more were killed by Jedi. So Darth Bane established the rule of 2, like master, apprentice, and then apprentice takes over, starts a new apprentice, and it kind of steps from there. But that's only been for the last like 1,000 years or so. But in canon, the Republic is 25,000 years old.
Okay.
And the Jedi Order is almost as old, if not older, depending on which canon you're referring to. So this has only been like for the last little bit of galactic history.
Because I was just going to say, if there's only supposed to be 2 Sith, first of all, at the end of episode 6, who are the Sith?
No, they died. Vader and Palpatine were the last
Exactly. But so that's like supposed to be it. And then all of a sudden it's like, just kidding. Palpatine's been here the entire time.
Or
so
Snoke, if they weren't going to bring him back, but Snoke was never called Darth Snoke. And it was never called Darth Kylo. Never used at all, which I'm like, okay, where are the Sith dead? Are these just dark side Force users? Where are we going with this? Nobody knows. And nobody knows.
They don't explain anything, but I will say when they released the first trailer for The Last Jedi and I heard Palpatine's laugh at the end of the trailer, I almost peed my pants.
But that's the thing.
That was amazing.
They have great moments. They're all about like these really cool, really fan servicing. Some like seeing Luke and Leia training with the lightsaber in that little flashback scene.
That was cool.
Killed me to the core. I'm like, why didn't we have that?
I have a fun fact about that. Yeah. That was Billy Lord, her daughter. Did you know that?
Oh, that's
that's it. But like, why didn't like these are all moments like you talk about the character Finn, great example, great character, John Boyega, bless his heart, had so much potential. A stormtrooper that escaped, had brainwashing, got a name. He never had a name before, sold for his family. So many cool things to explore, but they did nothing with him. So what happened in these movies? Like, who's the Resistance? What are they resisting? Who's the First Order? Where do they come from? Who is the Republic? Why do we hear that they all died in 7? Like, nothing that anyone does has any consequence because they all take place in a really tiny amount of time.
Yeah, and they get on this planet, and when they're looking for the power diamond of Veda, Rey's looking for the power diamond of Veda. They end up on the planet,
the desert planet that's not Tatooine, and
they got the Exacto ruler knife that shows them exactly where it is on the old Death Star. I swear to God, it was a ruler. Anyway,
so that was absolutely a reference to National Treasure, and I won't hear anything else.
I'm like, are you kidding?
I'm pretty sure I was in the Elder Scrolls somewhere.
To be a fly on the wall in that writer's room. Well, they get there, and then they meet all of these people, and what a coincidence! I was a stormtrooper too. I was too. Okay, so nobody cares. Didn't even nobody cares. And then they're sitting there going, well, we gotta wait till tomorrow to get on the old Death Star because the waves are too high. There's no way to do it. And we don't have time, but we've got to wait because we need parts for the Falcon, whatever. Freaking Rey figures it out. She gets on the old Death Star, and I'm telling you, I lost my shit when she was on the old Death Star. She was walking around the Emperor's chair. She was walking around where Luke and Darth Vader fought in Empire. All of that. They even played the music that was playing from the old films during that scene.
That's an interesting note. So, Tyler, you're a big film or music person, I know.
Yes.
And so John Williams has done all the music, and John Williams is a legend. But you have the Imperial March, the iconic Star Wars music, the Binary Sunset, all Leia's theme, all these amazing songs from the original trilogy, right? And you have Duel of the Fates for episode 1. You've got Battle of the Heroes, episode 3. You've got Across the Stars, Anakin and Padme's love song. You've got these iconic songs from the prequels. What iconic songs are in the new ones?
Oh, Rey's theme and Poe's theme for sure.
Two from one. I listened to the finale music from the I got the soundtrack and I listened to it. All of the music is from the original trilogy. Most of the music in these movies was riffs, and maybe it's because John Williams is getting old. I don't know, but most of it, except for Rey's theme and a few other new ones, are riffs off of the Imperial March, the original theme, the original.
So I think that's done with intention and for the right reasons. I think it would be inappropriate to have a story that takes so much of the original story of 4, 5, and 6 and rehashes that in a new way with newer characters and having new themes instead of reinventions and callbacks to just reinforce something that's familiar to you. Does that make sense?
It does. But Star Wars has always been about themes. There's always been even repeated lines. I've got a bad feeling about this. In every movie, there's these themes that repeat and are echoes of each other. And that's one of the things you love about Star Wars. It's kind of cyclical.
Yeah.
For me, there's a difference between that and you can have themes that repeat, and that's one thing, plot, musically, whatever. But when you look at episode 7, if you break down the plot very simplistically, it's the same fucking movie. I mean, literally the same shit happens.
Right. Yeah. So how can you have totally new musical structure to something that's already been done?
Well, I think, one, I think you should, not totally new, but like, I think you need to have a more of a departure from what they did. But two, I don't think there's no need to remake a movie that, you know, changed the world.
That's its whole own separate argument. But yeah. I think I kind of disagree, and I think that this is where I have a thumbs up with these movies. Is you know, with Disney's budget came the most aesthetically like beautiful, like epic Star Wars universe that we have ever seen. I really did think the music was fantastic, especially the trailer music for all three of the movies was
oh my god,
really beautiful. Rey's theme by itself, in my opinion, is just as powerful as some of the original themes that are like do 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 do. It's really and it echoes a lot throughout, like all of her moments of growth throughout the three movies. And Poe's theme is just really heroic and epic in a really good, powerful Poe type of way. So from a production standpoint, I think that Disney did a good job with this movie or this trilogy.
Do you think John Williams was sitting, because they see the film while they're doing it, do you think he kind of sat there a couple of times and goes, you want me to do what with this?
well, you were Hamill in 9.
I got nothing.
Give a flying fuck about anything. He's just having fun and collecting a paycheck at this point.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care. What? No, what are you doing?
Yeah.
God, that was so funny though. When
I don't want to be like the naysayer. Like, there's parts that I love. Like Tyler's like, the production value was great. The effects,
beautiful.
For all his, and Rian Johnson too, for all their faults, are like very great cinematography. The movies visually were stunning, and it's some really epic moments and some really, you know, the diversity, but I'm not going to say female empowerment because I think they wanted to do that, but I think
you can say that, especially with Rey and Leia as well.
But that's the thing; they didn't really do. Rey and Leia were mostly reacting to what the men around them were doing. They completely cut Rose out of the 9th movie because Kelly Marie Tran, literally bless her, got so much shit.
Yeah, that is
true. 8. I mean, you want to talk about like incels, like, guys, what the fuck? You drove the poor woman off Instagram for playing a character on Star Wars.
But I think that so you and I have talked about this. Maybe this is where I'm going to get in some trouble online for saying this. I think the Star Wars fans are a little spoiled. I think that no matter what anybody does with this franchise, everybody will always say, "Oh, it's not 4, 5, and 6. It's not as good as it will never. It's trash. It will never like in the age of cancel culture. Let's cancel Star Wars now. Let's run this person off of Instagram."
But like, let's project forward 20 years. I'm looking back now. I was a kid when the prequels came out.
Yeah.
And looking back on them, I need to admit that they have their problems, and they are glowing with their problems. But I still love them because they were the Star Wars of my childhood. And the story and watching Anakin kind of fall and like seeing how, you know, the Jedi Order at its height, there's some really cool shit that happened there.
Sure.
Quality of the acting and the dialogue. I'm going to blame George Lucas for 95% of those issues because you had fucking Oscar winners in that cast and they acted like they were made out of cardboard.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true.
The best part for me for the prequels was sitting in a packed movie theater during episode 2, Attack of the Clones, sitting next to my 6-year-old son, and Yoda gets up for the first time, and you actually see him in a lightsaber fight.
I remember that.
My little boy stood up out of his chair and goes, I didn't know Yoda could do that. Everyone in the theater lost it. It was the greatest. I enjoyed the prequels through my son's eyes because he was little. Lord Jesus, don't get him started now. But I mean, it just, there were so many. God, I can't. We'll do a different show on that.
I hope that kids like these new movies.
They appreciate what we had to go through to get to these.
But I wish that the movies would have been better for this next generation, because I feel like the story is more hollow.
Yeah.
So here's
and that makes me sad.
Just in general, though, I would say that the prequels would have been very, like, in comparative to the sequels of the original trilogy. So the first three movies would have been a lot easier to write a cohesive story than coming up with a whole new, like, sequel, because you know Anakin's going to be the star of it, right? You know what you have to do with him to get to episode 4, to get to episode 5, to get to episode 6. Then
there's
what you
an
do
end point in mind, like you have like a goal to get to. Yeah,
you know what they're going to be like. You have you're basically creating. It's like basically like this. I keep talking about Harry Potter, but it really is like the cursed child. Like you sit back and you're like, okay, it's Harry Potter's kid in this play. Like I haven't seen the play, so I can't really say. But I've read the script, the book, or whatever. And you sit back and you're like, this sucks. There's so many plot holes.
She died.
Look, the best prequel, in my opinion, Rogue One. And
Thank you.
And I will say, loved it from beginning to end. And at the very end, when freaking Darth Vader came out and he was doing this, and he was, I was like, this is the most amazing moment of my life.
I was like, Daddy fucked me up.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say that in here? I guess I did. Anyway.
You can, absolutely. Okay. So one last question. I got to wrap up. But where does Star Wars go from here?
Well, they didn't know where they were going with this.
Away from J.J. Abrams.
Do you think the next do you think the next trilogy will be 10, 11, 12, or do they need
more trilogies? No more numbered episodes. Like this is like the end of the Skywalker saga, which for me, the Skywalker saga, there's 6 parts. Like I'm honestly not counting these. And I am reading, like I have my books, which Luke and Leia are old and happy and still alive and have each other, and I'm going to just live there.
Sure.
They are going to be doing more things. Like I think they're going to be Mandalorian season 2. They're doing another season of the Clone Wars. Kenobi's getting a show, which I'm really excited about. They're going to do other trilogies. Like there's the Old Republic, which are some of the best video games. So they actually like kind of help define modern RPG games. There's a ton of interesting characters and timelines to explore in Star Wars. I think they're going to go there and not try to wade to the minefield, as you rightly said. What do you do that's not boring with Star Wars? Like, where do you go? There's all the people who are going to be pissed off. That's not a fair, or that is a fair criticism, I think.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, unless you guys have any more thoughts, I think we're good to wrap it up. Maybe we'll have a part 2 about this. Who knows? I think Kyle and Allison still have a lot more to say about it. Me and Beth are just along for the ride, honestly.
This is great. I learned a lot. I mean, I like hearing people talk about things that they're passionate about, and if I know a fraction of what it is, like I just feel like included in it. So you guys did a good job.
I'm sorry I spoke so much.
That's why you're here.
This is a therapy session for you.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if you weren't here? It would have been Tyler and me talking out of our ass and
me having to wipe their ass. The shit coming out of the ass.
You've done enough. Your kids are too old now. No more ass wiping.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to what's ahead next week. We are going to start our Survivor Season 40 Winners at War coverage. Kyle, I know you're a huge Survivor fan. Our next season is going to be an all-winner season.
Maybe I should watch and provide like newbie commentary.
I would love that, actually. Yeah. I would love to see this show through a perspective of
I am totally down for that.
I swear to God. Here's the thing, though. I'm going to give you one thing. If you come on this show as a newbie and you say, I think Denise Stapley deserved to go home or whatever, you're out.
I don't know who she is, but she sounds amazing.
Well, so speaking of Denise Stapley, on Tuesday the 14th, we are going to be discussing the women of Survivor 40, their legacies as winners, and how we think they're going to do. Spoiler alert, me and Beth are Team Denise all the way. And then on Thursday, we're going to be talking about the men of Survivor Season 40, their legacy, how they got to the end of their season, whether it be a million idols or actual strategy. Can't wait to talk about all of that stuff. Sorry, Ben, you suck. So looking forward to those shows.
Ben's gonna win. So
No, he's not.
If Ben wins all winners, I'm done with Survivor.
Kyle's like, what the fuck?
I just want to go on record saying who has picked the winners here lately of Survivor.
I think. Whoops. Oh, Allison just got muted. I don't know what happened there. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
People
there we go. Allison, she has her talking stick back now. But no, seriously, Kyle, thank you for joining us. Allison's been wanting to do this show for quite a while now, so I'm glad that we had another like big super fan to talk about it, and we really enjoyed.
I'll do this like 20 more times. Seriously.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We need to do a show about the freaking prequels, Kyle, because I have so much to say about that.
We get to
and Rogue One. And other stuff.
Rogue One. I actually got the vinyl. I got the Michael Giacchino to sign that at Comic.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll send you a picture.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Before we go, you can please subscribe to my weekly Meltdown on YouTube. You get notifications when we go live. Also, follow us on Instagram at My Weekly Meltdown. You can find me on Twitter at Summers1977, and that's SOMMERS 1977. Tyler, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TLions. Please tweet me all kinds of Survivor Big Brother thoughts. I am here for all of them, and Sequester as well. And yeah, you can
spell it because it ain't normal.
It's TLYONZZ. And if you're looking for a wedding photographer, I just finished updating my website, so go to scottstudios.co. The logo is made.
So, Beth, how can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Augusta Wind 11, which is AUGUSTA, like the city Augusta.
I love that.
And then Wind, and then 11. I literally came up with what I thought would be the dumbest drag name of all time, and then it's now my online identity. So that's what we've got. So feel free to follow me there. And hopefully, if my internet ever gets fixed, I'll be streaming again.
Perfect. Alrighty.
And Kyle, how can people hold down?
I always forget about Kyle, so this is just another day in the park.
This is a different Kyle.
No,
Kyle, how can people find you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram personally as a Mad Trill. If you're a Trekkie, you will hopefully get the reference. That's TRILL. And also on Photosmith NYC for my photography on Twitter and Instagram as well. So please follow me because I'm better than Tyler.
Oh, I'm going to go check that out.
It's just a bunch of white people in a shower.
And that's my dinner. I got to go.
All right.
The force be with you all.
Stop it. Stop it. Blasphemy. Stop it. What's wrong with you?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh! God. Leave my baby